Hey guys, and welcome back to Loopin' About podcast. I'm Alicia, also known as AK47, and on Ravelry, and you can also find me on Instagram as lupinehook. It's been a busy couple of weeks, so Sean decided to cash in all his time off, and we're taking a month to go climbing around our area. We were planning to go a couple places. I think our first thoughts were to go to South Dakota, well east of here. We'd been there once before, really enjoyed our stay, and thought this would be a perfect opportunity. Well, they had wildfires, so that was out. And we thought about going to Idaho to, I think it's City of Rock is in Idaho, and that's for bouldering. What we were really training for was for South Dakota, but we thought, oh, okay, well, that's out. Let's just look for something still east, and there's roller coasters over there that we thought we could stop by, and then also head to go do some bouldering in Idaho. Well, Idaho's got wildfires. So the air quality was really low everywhere we wanted to go. And then we thought, oh, we'll go to Squamish, due north. We'll just go up to BC. Well, BC's having wildfires too. So air quality was just not at our beck and call this time when we were planning our trip. So this, probably about a month ago, we decided, all right, let's just stay local. Well, we've been climbing locally anyway. We could really just delve into it near our house. First week we were out there, perfect weather. It was like mid to high 80s, but we're in under the cover of forest, so it's 15 degrees cooler when we're climbing. We get home on the Friday, only to discover that rain is coming early this season. For the last 3 years, we haven't had rain in September. In the last 6 years, the average precipitation in North Bend, Washington, where we go to climb, has been 6 days. The second week of September was going to be all rain. They were going to meet their average on the second week of September. So we thought, okay, let's scramble. Let's figure out where it's going. Rain was supposed to be everywhere you could go climbing here in Washington. So we decided, let's go to Leavenworth. It'll be, so weather patterns that come through usually come from the ocean. Rain ones definitely come from the ocean. They hit the Olympics, which is right on the cusp of Washington's western side. Get over that elevation. Then they hit the Cascades, which is higher elevation. Usually, the rain usually gets tired by the time the Cascades happen. So we thought, oh, we'll just go to the heart of the Cascades and hope that, all the passes catch everything. Even though there was rain on the horizon, in the forecast, we decided to go. We head out, thinking positively, hoping for the best stuff. We're getting back on boulders. We've been rope climbing for a few months now, and we're ready to get back to boulders. We have some projects out there. Cool. Nothing's going to plan, but we're just going to take it as it comes. Well, the entire week we were out there, which was 2 weeks ago, we had sun showers, sprinkles, not even showers. This was light rain. Every couple hours would come through and wind would come through. It was cooling down. Perfect weather. The most perfect weather. Now, we didn't plan proper for that weather. For some reason, I don't know why we didn't think to bring the proper layers, but a poofy jacket would have been good. Just to keep warm. Because we camp right next to a river, a good river, a river that's always flowing pretty hard, a very loud river. So the white noise at night is perfect for sleeping. But with that comes wind rushing down from elevation, right? So it was brisk. It was quite cold. Malu was great. The dog was super stoked to be in her element. But we did not prepare well for the weather. So we stayed a week out there, 8 days to be exact, and then we came back to the city just to regroup, decide what's going on. Well, there's more rain still going on over here. So this week we stayed in, but we're going to be heading out tomorrow for another week. And I thought, well, this is perfect time to get some recording in because I have been busy. Let's see. Climbing wise was really good. We discovered that rope climbing makes us very weak. So when we got on our boulder projects, yeah, we got turned down by rocks left and right. So I decided, okay, you know what? I'm just going to give in. I'm just going to give in to the fact that I do not have the strength that bouldering gives you because we haven't been climbing hard. We've been climbing really low grades to get back into rope climbing. So I went for high ball V2s and had great success. Super stoked, had a wonderful trip. But yeah, I just found some low grade, high stuff because, you know, we've been training our heads for scary positions, so we might as well use it, right? So that was successful. Successful trip, had a really good time. I do feel stronger after 5 days straight on a rock. Yeah, so successful trip. And next time, we'll bring more layers and proper jackets and more pants. Summer's over. And oh, the fall leaves are just turning. Like you'll see a valley of underbrush, and just the center bushes are turning reds and oranges and yellows, and it is gorgeous. So it's not in full effect yet. We're just seeing it awaken in the Cascades. We're not seeing it much in the city. There's some trees that are turning, but oh, in elevation, so gorgeous, so pretty. My favorites are reds, the bright reds, not the deep reds that go to browns. The bright reds and the bright yellows are my favorite. So it was just glorious to start seeing some colors. And oh man, I love it when it starts to cool off. We weren't prepared, but I love the season. Love it. But let's get into things that I finished that I'm wearing. The keen of you out there will have noticed that I am wearing a finished object. I have been working on a shawl with Amanda's Knit Along, the Summer Shawl Shenanigans Knit Along, and it's going on through October 31st. It started August 6th, so it's plenty of time. It is either any of her shawls or any shawl over 600 yards that uses yarn that she had sponsors for her work. And so she's had it all listed out. There's a link in the show notes, and you can find the show notes in Ravelry. But this is what I've accomplished. I decided on Wildfire Blaze. It is lovely. It's a crescent-shaped shawl, and it starts out in the center, as per usual, for crescent shapes. And it's mostly cables, simple cables that occur every once in a while, and they alternate, so it makes like that flame kind of look to it. Oh, it's so beautiful. And then you finish off the edging with a lace detail. You have some garter rows before the lace, garter rows after the lace, and then a stretchy bite off. Oh, so pretty. Now, you know me, so I made some modifications. Mostly it was, I didn't want to do I didn't want to do increases in the purl side of this build. So I decided to go with purl front back on the purl side of the shawl for their increases. The knitting increases were as called for, as specified. And I changed the garter to be in knit rows rather than the purl rows that were specified. So I started them a row early so I could start knitting. And then I did an extra row at the end of the lace to start the garter in knit as well. But I don't think it's noticeable. honestly. I think the author would notice. I think Amanda would be well aware of that modification. But I wanted to do everything in knit just because it's faster for me. And maybe you guys make those kind of modifications too. There's nothing saying you can't do it. I mean, garter is going to show up whether you do all purl rows or all knit rows when you're doing something that's not in the round. So I have an extra row. I might have an extra ridge before the lace started, but I'm pretty happy with it. I matched the amount of ridges before and after the lace so that it's at least consistent. I had plenty of yarn. Let's see. I had about 40 grams left out of 2 skeins, and it was using Madeline Tosh. So they don't specify the weight of your skein, but it goes by yardage. I had plenty of yardage for this shawl, and I love it. I could have added more lace. I could have added more cables. I had plenty of yarn to do whatever my little heart could desire. But I decided to go with the count. And I love that in her patterns, they show you when you hit the 25% yardage, 50% yardage, 75%, and then when you're at your total. So I knew right away that I was going to have enough yarn. So glorious. That is the most clever thing ever. So thank you for that. Thank you for adding those little progress along the way. I loved this knit. I think part of it was the yarn. I used Madeline Tosh in the Tart colorway, which is this red with an overwash of black. And it is pashmina. So scrumptious. It is 80% wool, 10% cashmere, and 10% silk. And oh my gosh, the silk content. It's really messed with the colors when I take a picture of it. But I am so pleased with it. I have made one other project in it and absolutely adore it. I adore knitting with it. I adore this colorway. If they ever stop making Tart, it'll be a sad day. But yes, check it out. Mad Tosh, you know them as Kettle Dyed Goodness. And I do have 2 different lots in here, and I didn't realize they were so different until I discovered it in my knitting. Thankfully, the change between the skeins happened after the garter ridges, so I'm really hoping that the garter ridges are helping mask what's going on, because you go from cable to lace. So just in the texture, it's changing. So I'm kind of hoping that it's... So yeah, I finished it. So stoked. Plenty of yarn. It was weird not playing Yarn Chicken in this event. I play it so often. But yes, I had 2 skeins of Tart. This was exactly what I wanted to do with it. As soon as her book came out last year, I said, oh, you know, it would be awesome in Wildfire Blaze. I mean, come on, red. Oh, it's perfect, and I love it. And it's so warm right now. I'm feeling very warm. I kind of want to open that window. So that is my finished object. Well, I've got some sewing finished objects too. We could do those back to back, right? Now, if you're on my team, you might want to look away because I'm going to start talking specifically about my partner. So my partner was very late to putting a mosaic up. So I had been stalking her on Instagram for a while, and I looked at other things that she had participated in, and I kind of had an idea of what she liked. Knowing Rain was one of them. I fell in love with this quiet play pattern, and she is out of Australia. I want to say she's out of Australia because the publication in which it was in was an Australian magazine, and that's Make Modern magazine. Now, the issue that it was in, I didn't care for a lot of the patterns in it, but they also had a publication for just cushions, and this is a cushions pattern. Like, this was supposed to make a pillow. And so I bought their cushions collection, and it's got some pretty cool things in it. I'm intrigued to do a few things out of it where I wasn't all that intrigued of the actual issue that this was in. So this is called Rainy Days. rainy days cushion, I believe. And here are the pieces that I used to make it. I started off thinking, okay, I'll make 4 clouds and I'll make 2 full panels. So I'll make 2 full panels and have 2 extra clouds because there's casing on the bag that I was going to make her that I could use the extra clouds for the casing of the strap, and then I could match, like pattern match the cloud so you'd see the whole thing, right? Well, ideally. Well, the cushion was 15 inches by 12 inches, and the bag's dimensions needed 10 by 12. So right off the bat, I had too much material, so I had to cut into all that foundation paper piecing. And it was, remember, maybe it happens every time, remember that first time you frogged something and you just got that sick feeling? And not that you were really going to vomit, but you just had that stomach ache for ripping all that work out. It happens when you cut into your panels that you made for a specific project, and it was beautiful and perfect with the perfect full cloud and all the raindrops, and then I had to cut 2/3 of the cloud off. And the clouds took the longest time. Oh my gosh. So the first time I went out to my parents' house to use the sewing machine, I thought, oh, I'm gonna get my 4 clouds done and the panels. Like, I'm gonna get all the foundation paper piecing done, and then I'll feel good about my status, and we can go on our climbing adventures, and I won't stress about sewing or anything. I'll be set. I'll be a good start, go. I did not even finish my clouds the first 2 solid days of sewing I did on that. So, on our climbing trip, I'm kind of, twitching because I'm really behind and people are finishing their bags, and we have to send it on October 1st, and we're going to be on the road for a month, and that's all of September. And I would have started this a long time ago if the mosaic came in early, and I could have started my sewing in August when I had all the time in the world to start this project. Right? So this narrative is running. Sean sees that I'm stressed out. He's like, it's cold and we didn't pack properly. We could go back. I was like, but if we go over that pass, we're not coming back to Leavenworth. Like, we're not going over the passes again in this van that isn't functioning properly, and we probably shouldn't be extending its, life in this way by going over passes that are intense and steep, and we go down to 2nd gear just to get over them. We're sacrificing another week in Leavenworth where we can get a lot of climbing in, but Sean's experiencing migraines because the barometric pressure has changed, and that's a big symptom for his migraines. And so he's miserable, we're cold, yeah. So he came home so I could work on sewing. That was a big reason. I overextended myself, and it cut into our vacation, and I feel really awful about it. But I finished my bag. I told him I'm gonna leave the day after we come back, and I'm gonna stay out there until I'm done. Done. No more sewing. So I made the clouds. I cut into them. I made the panels. I cut into them. And I made this lupa. So, as you can see, I did use clouds on the casing. This is actually the top part of the cloud that I cut off of each cloud and I put on here because I was going to match it, right? But that would have made a seam right here. What you don't know is that seam is really loaded already, right? Because we have foundation paper piecing, right? Even to the edge. So this seam has foundation paper piecing and so many, just imagine how many pieces of fabric are right there. And then you also have to tack down the strap at that seam, right? That's going on under the casing. So this was about to get really full, and my sewing machine didn't even like what I was doing up to now. So I thought, okay, I can't match I can't pattern match this guy because it would add yet another seam. So I thought, well, maybe if I just use the top of the clouds, it'll look like the bottom of other clouds, and we'd have a whole cloud layer going on here. Because really, I lost my cloud. Past me wasn't thinking. At the time of when I needed to cut this pattern, which was a beautiful cloud and lots of raindrops. I mean, look, all the raindrops, even on the bottom. I thought, I want all the raindrops. I want them all. So cut the cloud, forget the raindrops. And the motif is too large. I've learned this. I learned it the hard way. I love this bag now that I've had a few days away from staring at it for 3 days straight. During the construction, I was not pleased with this, but in the end, I mean, come on, I got all the raindrops in there. She loves this bright pink. She loves this bright blue. And because she loved the bright blue, I went for that bright blue interior. This is a batik, so I couldn't get it wrong, which is good. Because there are many moments in this pattern that I could have done incorrectly. There was 16 steps in this project. For a sewist, it must be super fun and fast and delightful. For a new person who really just likes foundation paper fixing, let's get real. I really just like two-dimensional things. It's gonna be a quilt. It's just a block, right? When you turn block into three-dimensional thing, a lot can go wrong. So thankfully, this is a very forgiving pattern. You know, when my seam doesn't line up perfectly, that's okay. The casing covered that. This was a huge, huge bundle of seams. It's all covered up with that beautiful casing. I'm not good at top stitching. Top stitching came into play for the casing and your strap. Those are not parallel lines. I know this. It bothers me, but man, it's really not parallel under these casings. Don't look any closer. But yeah, it's a forgiving project. I hope they use it as a bucket. I mean, these straps are said to be usable, right? I think it's gonna take a while before they can actually relax enough to be used as a little drawstring action. But I'm hoping they're gonna use it like I'm gonna use it, like a bucket. And I decided, a lot of people were matching their strap to their interior. It was too stark against that rain cloud. I just couldn't do it. And I looked over and I saw that I picked up this scrap and it was just enough. I think I might have a square that big left from that scrap that I used as for the handles. And it turned out perfect. It picked up on the interior blue. It picks up on the raindrop blue below. I am really pleased with it. But it probably looks scrappy happy. And that's fine. I love that look. And I hope my partner loves it too. So I did spy on her and realized that she really loves this motif. And that's why I picked that motif, because I saw her even say that she wants to make it herself. So I made that for her in colors that I'm pretty sure she's going to be stoked on. So that's a bright green raindrop. That's a polka dot blue in there, and then a bright pink. So happy with it. So happy it's done. So I also made her a little Kleenex pouch holder. And that's the same as the raindrops that were used in the bag. This was a scrap that I was intending to make, you know, letters or something, or words on something else. But I just ran out of time. And then I took Lindsay Ann's idea and made a little wallet. There's a needle in there still because I have to put a button on it. Yeah, there'll be a button right there. And it's a little tea wallet with a couple places to put tea. And so I'm going to fill that with tea. And then she was stationed out where I grew up. Half of my grow up time was out on Whidbey Island. She was stationed there with her husband, I believe. Her husband was in the Navy. Maybe they both were. Maybe I'm just not paying attention enough. But anyway, they were stationed out on Whidbey Island, and she has a Whidbey Island tea or coffee that she really likes. So I'm gonna, if I can, make a trip out to Whidbey Island and pick up coffee beans from her favorite place that I've noticed on Instagram. And then the bag and the goodie stuff is all her. But what you're supposed to send as a partner is a little piece that's you. So I went out to Pacific Fabrics one afternoon and I got this beautiful batik that's purple with polka dots, because you know, polka dots can make me happy. And then not 3 weeks later, I go to Pacific Fabrics and pick up another purple that's exactly this one. So now I have two. So clearly it's my favorite thing, right? Because I picked it up twice now, and so I'm sharing one of them with her. Because it is so purple, so me. It's kind of got an overwash of black in there. And the light purple isn't obnoxious at all. It's not that lavender, ugly pinky purple. So, but I also got her a little bit of Seattle too. So that's gonna be her bag. There's gonna be some other extra goodies in there, but just in case she saw this, I thought I'd keep something for a surprise. I also made a mug rug, but in my haste, in which I'd made all those extras in about 4 hours after I was done with this bag. It was very late, and it was dark, and I didn't realize that I missed a seam. So I don't know if I'm gonna have time to go back and fix it, but it was gonna match her sewing room. But I missed a seam. Well, it's good. I'm supposed to make one thing and I made 2 things and I'm gonna fill it with awesome. So I think that's complete. So those are my FOs for this past couple weeks that you haven't seen me. There's something going on here. Okay. This is so warm. That touch of cashmere, and I swear it's a touch. It's only 10%. So warm. Works in progress. So another knit along that I'm participating in is my own, which is the This Is Tops Cal, where we're doing all garments all year long. And this would totally qualify because it's a sweater. And I showed you the start of it last time, and this is the lemongrass, which is a Hohi Locatelli pattern where there's a bit of basket weave cable right down the center of the front, and then the back is plain. So last I saw you, I was somewhere up here. I had just cast on. I was in the first skein. Well, I just finished my 3rd skein. And I've got the length that they called for the front, but I'm going to extend it by a lot, I'm thinking. So I've started in on my 4th skein, which is very happy. I broke for arms. When you break for arms, you break for front and back. So I've been knitting flat for days now. This is what I worked on. This is the only thing I worked on when we were on the road in Leavenworth. I love it. And I'm trying to get the front panel done because that's the one that has the cables. And then the rest of this is just going to be boring stockinette where I don't even have to think about it. So I'm trying to get all the thinking done now. And then the mindless stuff for later. Oh. Wait. No. This was not my Leavenworth project. I took this to North Bend. This was my North Bend knitting. This is out of a discontinued base from Debbie Bliss. It is Donegal tweed. I think it's chunky tweed. Chunky Donegal tweed. It's coming up on the bottom. It's got a number for a colorway. And it's a weird, like, see, it's showing red now because it's against red, but it's more of an orangey red on the brown side of red. And it's got flecks of gold and green and purple and blue. And I think this is the 2nd time I've spent some time with tweed. And I noticed that I don't pick at the little extras, which is good. Part of me wondered if it was going to bother me to have these flecks that make tweed, what it is. But yeah, it doesn't bother me. But I have found that there was, and it doesn't matter because this is a base that you might not have, and you can't get a hold of it anymore. So there's veggie matter in it. So I've pulled out some really scratchy stuff. Something felt like a thorn, and it was awful. But mostly it's been grasses and hay and stuff. And that's what I worried about most, is that if there's veggie matter, if I pick at that, am I going to pick at other things that kind of look like it could be hay, but it's really gold flecks in it? I haven't picked it. But I have noticed that every once in a while I have to pick something out. I did find one knot in one skein, somewhere in the middle of it. I've had to loosen up. Remember, I told you that it felt kind of tight. I have loosened up the gauge, but it's still pretty stiff. Like, I'm hoping that it'll soften up in wear in time. So this was for the Ho-He Fall Knit Along, which you needed to sign up for a couple weeks ago. I think it started in September. Wow, I've gotten a lot done if it's only been a September knit. But yeah, it's been really, really fun. Beautiful colorway. And they're all match perfect because Debbie Bliss is a big name, right? So everything's consistent. So I can just go from one skein to the next and I don't have to worry about blending things and none of that worry. So that's been very nice. And it's a pretty sizable skein. This is a fresh skein. This is my 4th skein that I'm just starting. I mean, half the size of my face. So it's a good put up. I think it's about 120 yards. So it's chunky. So I think they call that bulky. And it's exactly what the pattern called for. So I'm pretty stoked. I have 10 skeins of it. I'm adding some length to the front and the back. I wanted to do the sleeves first. I wanted to do break for sleeves, go straight to the sleeves, and then half the yarn and say, this is as far as I can go for the front and the back. And really play yarn chicken. But given the construction, there wasn't going to be an easy way to modify the construction. So it is what it is, and I'm just going to allocate a skein for each sleeve and hope that that's enough. Annetta and I are knitting this along together, and she's well ahead of me. Yay. So I can kind of gauge what I need by what her mods are. She's doing one size bigger than me, but I don't feel like I'm going to run out of yarn at this point. But she's just started a sleeve, and I'm hoping she's going to say it only takes a skein. So that's my plan. That's the Lemongrass by Ho-He Locatelli. Now, this is what I was working on the entire time I was in Leavenworth. So the last time you saw this, and this is the, still don't have the name down, so it's coming up at the bottom of the screen. This is my tree sweater. That's what I like to call it. Now, last time you saw, I was about here. And I had said that I needed to start increases. And I said, but I'm probably going to put it off. I did. I added 10 extra rows before I started increasing. And I got through the increases, and I got a full sleeve. But 2 full sleeves. So I'm really stoked. They're really long. I think they're 22.5 inches. It called for 17, but I'm kind of lanky. Let's see. I'll probably put it on for you. So I have a sleeve. And I like it long. I kind of like it over my thumb a little bit. So super long sleeves. As I said, I modified by adding 10 more stitches in length before I started the increases. And the increases stopped right about where my bicep. Yeah, right here. I put a little marker in, and it's black, so you can't see it. Get the other one on. I have to be more careful with this one because this one has the needles at the end of it. Okay. So my increases stopped right where your arm, stops growing anymore. Right? So at the bicep. So I had my circumference before my bicep started. Perfect. It is fitted, right? It's very roomy down here, but it's quite fitted up on my arm. And I think I'm going to be okay with that fit. It is rather scratchy wool. I used Harrisfield Designs in their worsted weight. And it is, I'd say it's kind of heathered. You can't really see it. In person, you can see that it's got a bit of white hair in it. Oh, there you go. Maybe you can tell from there. So it's a bit heathered. I wouldn't say strong, but it also isn't solid, right? So it's got some extra depth in it, we'll say. It is quite scratchy. I did not enjoy it on US 6, which I used for the ribbing, but I thoroughly enjoyed it once I got to the US 8s, which is for the body of the sweater. They say you can go up for the color work to the next needle up, but I'm not going to do that. I'm very comfy with it on 8s. And if you separate it, will it catch the light? It doesn't really make very dense of a fabric. So I don't think I'm going up for the color work. I think I'm going to stick to the 8s. And I don't usually have puckering issues anymore with color work, so I'm going to stick with that story and just keep on going. So now I'm ready to cast on for the body. And so I've got my US 6s ready. I think this is a 24-inch cable, and hopefully that'll be good. I'm making the 35.5-inch size, bust size, and I've tried it on, and everything fit lovely. And so far, the arms are fitting just like it did at the store. So I'm pretty stoked. I caked up one skein for each sleeve, and this is what I have left over. It's very light. I haven't even weighed them, but it's probably around 20 grams. I bet it took 80 grams to make my sleeves. That doesn't surprise me one bit. It called for only 4 of your primary color. So I'm gonna hold these off, and I'm gonna start in a brand new one for the body, and then hopefully when I'm ready for color work, I'm hoping these are the 2 that I'm going to be drawing from, and I'm going to have enough yarn. I am going to be yarn chicken, I'm sure, but I bought this just 2 weeks ago, and so I can buy from the same lot if I get my buns in gear and knit quickly and find out if I'm going to run out of the ebony colorway. Yeah, so I'm super stoked, and it's in my favorite medic bag. This has been wonderful for travel. I do get it got a little dirty. I do worry about putting it on the ground because it's black, and black picks up every dirt you can find, and it shows it off for you too, as you have noticed. I'm traveling with this guy again. So this is my National Parks bag by the Fat Squirrel. See her little tag. Bought this many years ago, and it has been on all our road trips. And when we lived in the car, it was in there. Or lived in the van, it was also in there. So yeah, super duper stoked. Now that will, both of those sweaters are going to qualify for the sweater knit along that we're doing in our group. And I have another knit along that's coming up that might distract me from my garments. I'm going to keep these garments going. This one will qualify for Christmas knitting in the Harry Potter knit along. So the Harry Potter knit along is hosted by Lydia of Loops Yarn, and she, as I've discussed before, puts up Harry Potter colorways that are inspired by the books and the movies. And then after all the yarn cycles through and you can order and pre-order and everything comes at once to your house. So my order came. And now we're about a week out from casting on for the month of October. This goes on for the month of October, November, and December. It is themed off of Harry Potter. You need to have bought at least one skein of Harry Potter yarn, Harry Potter themed yarn. You don't have to use it, I don't think, in the knit along, but you had to have purchased it so you could get your acceptance letter. I got my acceptance letter. So, I got my acceptance letter to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Yeah, so stoked. On really nice stock and everything. And then it tells you the equipment needs that you have. The also known as will be what we would know in terms of knitting. So my favorite one is 1 pewter cauldron, standard size 2, aka project bag. So get your project bags ready. We're about to engage in some knitting for the School of Hogwarts, and I'm very stoked. She also sent a little goodie bag from Honeydukes, and it had tea and some lollies. Yeah, it looks like lemon heads, and I'm really excited. I love lemon. And then for the prefect kits that were the first things that went up for sale and for pre-order, you get prefect kits for the house you wanted to be part of. So you could buy your way into your house, or the Sorting Hat sorts you into a house. Right. So I whispered into the Sorting Hat because I really wanted to be back in Ravenclaw. And I got it. The sticker is somewhere. Here we go. So you get the little sticker from the Sorting Hat that I will be Ravenclaw. So excited. Hi, Lucy. Lucy is in our group, and she is my, what are they called? Are they called prefects for the house? I think so. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Lucy is my moderator for the Ravenclaw house, and I am super stoked to be back. So let me show you the colorways that came to my house lately, and all of these will be knit in October, November, and December. So the first thing I ordered is called Cornish Pixies. It's in her Perfection Knot base. All her bases are named after knots. So some of them are knots you would use for, say, ties and stuff, and some are not, right? Not those knots. So Cornish Pixies, it's a beautiful, it's got navy, it's got a lot of blues and some purple in it. So of course, right up my alley, right? Oh, her depths of color are so amazing. And now that I'm seeing it, it's just a hint of purple in this blue up here, which is my favorite kind of purple, is a bluish purple. And here's its mate. These are destined to become socks for my father. So I got 2 skeins because remember, he's told me that his legs are cold when I've given him 6-inch cuffs for his socks. Clearly that's not enough. Well, in order to achieve that, it took every ounce of 100 grams. So every gram of 100 grams? Yeah, let's keep the units precise. Let's not have O-ring issues. So, yeah, isn't her labels beautiful? They've got new ones this year. So she's out of Spokane, Washington, so she's a local dyer to me. It's my rules, right? Spokane, 5 hours away driving, local, cool. Another matching skein that I got happened in her 3rd update, I believe. So this is Nicholas Flamel. And he, if I'm correct, I've been listening to the books lately, and he happened in the first book, Sorcerer's Stone? Whatever the Sorcerer's Stone was. He was the person who had the stone before it was given to Dumbledore to protect. Right? So that's him. I kind of need to know these things because somehow I need to link them either by pattern or by yarn in the challenges that are to come. So it's a beautiful blue. This is her worsted weight, which is figure 8. And it is 100% superwash merino. These are destined to be shorts. Shorts? Yes, you heard right. And it's going to be paired with this beautiful purple. They're for Sean. The colorways he wanted were out of stock. by the time that we could pick for him. I needed a worsted. And of course he would go for light blue or bright blue, right? But he said, okay, you pick. They're going to be beautiful. I'm going to wear them. He's going to wear them. He's been asking for crocheted shorts for years. Thank you, Baconberry. He saw your pants at ZK 2016 when he attended. Oh my goodness. He's been asking for them ever since. He was asking for them before that. He saw it somewhere. I don't even know. But I know he'd wear them. He would want them all wild and crazy. No. So I'm making him knit shorts. And this is actually the Stephen West pattern. It's probably going to be the only one of his patterns I would even make. I find him really distracting. And not even him, just the pictures he puts up for his default picture in his pattern. I can't handle it. Can't get past the pictures. Washed out, and awful lighting. I can't. Anyway, I'm doing those shorts, and they look normal. Go check them out. They're old school Stephen West. This is called Magical Quill, and it's beautiful. Oh my gosh. I thought it was going to be redder, and I'm really glad it isn't. Oh, beautiful plum. I think she called them plum. And it is lovely. Oh, her pictures don't do them justice, and her pictures are amazing. So those are going to be shorts for Sean, probably in October. This might be my first cast on. It requires all this yarn. Yeah, for a pair of shorts. I don't know. We're going to find out. It's going to be fun. And then the final thing is this color. Now it's a dark seafoam. Right? So think seafoam green and then go jewel tone from there. It's really pretty. I don't feel like that is the proper color. If that's looking teal to you, it's not teal. It's on the greener side of that, the color that you're seeing. Right, so think a little more green. Oh, so pretty. And this is yet another one of her bases. I decided to try a bunch of bases this time. This is Ascot. Okay, so this base is my tried and true that I always buy of hers, which is Perfection Knot. But I've never bought worsted, and I've never bought Ascot, which is the 80% merino, 20% nylon. This is the 75-25, which is my favorite. Right? 463 yards. You know my formula if you've watched even 3 or 4 of these episodes. So, yeah, these will be socks for Sean. I'm really just making stuff from the dudes in my life, and I think it's going to be great. So, this is a Christmas. I'm thinking I'm going to try Cornish Pixies. I'm going to try to associate this with November because it's going to take probably 70 grams of yarn, probably more than that, probably 80 grams of yarn for one sock. That's a lot of sock knitting in 1 month's time. So if I can't get this done, there's detention that you can put your project in, that you can finish it by the end of the knit along. So I might need to start these early so that I can finish them. And I'm hoping these can make it in 1 month. These shorts need to be made in 1 month's time. Okay. So I needed to do a drawing. Okay. So the sock blank, sock long. I've been forgetting to draw this. So I went into my stash and I found this undyed sock blank. It's already knit up, ready for any kind of, awesome. And it is from Maker's Mercantile, which is a local LYS to me. It's 100 grams, 75-25 content, and it's got 462 yards. Almost makes me think that this is my favorite base at 463 yards. So this is going to be winging its way to you, along with a natural dye kit. Now with natural dyes, you can pour this out in your yard and it hurts nothing. You can do all your rinsing outside and all it's gonna do is seep right into the soil and not be bothering anything. Nothing in this is going to bother your outside status, which is awesome. You can create beautiful colors from nature with this easy kit using non-toxic ingredients. It's pure concentrated color extracts from plants and natural materials, and there's no petrochemicals in it. Your kit content will include lac, logwood, fustic, kutch, Saxon blue, aluminum sulfate, cream of tartar, and instructions. Those last two items are to set your piece that you're dyeing so that it can take the natural dye. So all wrapped up into one little kit. Yeah. I actually took a class from the woman who prepared this, which is from botanicalcolors.com. Went to a farm out in Carnation, which is where Tolt is. And it must have been through Tolt. Is that where I signed up for that class? Probably from Tolt Yarn and Wool. Took the class, loved it. Oh my gosh. Logwood is purple. That one's my favorite. I hope you guys use purple in whatever you're making. So this is the prize. So you're going to be able to make your own sock blank using natural dyes on a sock blank that's already knit up for you. Oh my gosh, this is going to be so exciting. I really hope you think this is as awesome as I think it is. And I really look forward to seeing what you're going to make with it. So I have pulled up the Ravelry thread and it has 20 pictures. Now, some of those pictures are going to be mine, so if I win, I'm going to just redraw. But I have the 20 posts of pictures ready to go. And then I'm going to go to random number generator, which is that guy. I'm going to put 1 into 20. Make it so it fits in the screen and generate. And it's not going to show you because it's too bright. But it says 17. So let's go back to the pictures and post 17. Well, if there's, should be 3 from the bottom, which is Bacon Fairy's post number 80, which has her completed socks, and she had aliens on hers. And I don't know if it's going to show. But that is the picture that won you this kit, Bacon Fairy. So I look forward to sending this to you. Why don't you drop me a private message with your info? But you know what? I bet I have your info. You were my Knit Miss partner last time, so yeah, I have your address. So don't even worry about contacting me. This will just be sent in the mail when I'm at the post office next. Yes, when I'm winging this off in the post office, yours will be on the way too. Thank you so much for joining in on these knit-alongs in the group. I am so sorry that it took so long to do this drawing, but I'm really excited about this giveaway. It took me a while to find one of the elements, and I just went through all my yarn lately. When I came back from ZK, I was in a weird funk for weeks. And in order to do something, because I didn't feel like knitting, I went through my entire stash and I put it up on Ravelry. And so it was cataloging everything. It's putting everything in one room and removing it from one place to another and reorganizing where everything was going to go, because my ZK yarn all fit into a 5-gallon tote, which it no longer does because I'm not knitting through it fast enough, even though I knit 6,000 yards of it this year. Still don't knit through it fast enough. So it needed to go trade spaces with a different bin. So yeah, even though I touched every piece of fiber that I own, not but a few months ago, I couldn't remember where I put that. This guy that's winging its way to you. So excited to see what you're gonna do with this, Mandy. Oh. So until we knit again, guys, take care of yourself, do some knitting. Bye.